So with the release of T1000 coming soon, I think towards the end of the month, unfortunately, we are not getting a Combat Pack 3. I will discuss that later. But again, we have another Mortal Kombat title that just, again, fell short of a lifespan that it should have. Now, Mortal Kombat games aren't really known for having a long shelf life or long lifespan. Usually MK games only last about 2 to 3 years, and NRS has been trying to fix that and support the games for longer, but unfortunately it just doesn't happen, and MK11 and now MK1 are victim of that. So their original plan was to have a Combat Pack 3 for this game, but MK1 hasn't even sold half the copies MK11 sold. So that right there just tells you that there's gonna be no Combat Pack 3. So if your game isn't doing well, you're not gonna make content for it or keep making content for it in hopes that more people will just buy it. So this is the end of MK1 as we know it. So what's NRS's next game? It's obviously Mortal Kombat. WB had already came out and said that one of the games that they want to focus on is MK, along with DC, mainly Batman games, and a few other titles. So we already know for sure Mortal Kombat 2 is going to be NRS's next title. And so I just kind of want to talk about the poor launch states that each Mortal Kombat game has. MKX, I believe, had a pretty good launch state. MK11 and MK1, I cannot say the same. MK11 launched with a lot of bugs and just very minimal stuff in the game other than story mode. When it came to gameplay and combat, they brought back variations from Mortal Kombat X, which was okay, I guess. I preferred variations in MKX over MK11 because in MK11 they just made stuff so limited. Like there was only 3 variations, much like MKX was, but eventually they made loadouts a thing later on, like a year or 2 down the road, which was a little too slow in my opinion. And with MK1 there was just a lot of bugs and stuff, like brutalities had bugs where heads would float if you did down 2 brutalities. There were audio issues. There were just a lot of bugs when it came to MK1's launch. And there just wasn't much to do. You had a lot of stuff coming soon, like the shrine, and then you ended up having, I forgot what it was called, but it ended up just being a leaderboard for like the top players, which was kind of stupid in my opinion. Like they were hyping up a feature and then it just turned out to be a leaderboard. So they need to quit with little dumb stuff like this and make a full functioning game with a good menu, a good UI, and I don't know if it's gonna stop with WB, but the microtransactions were out of hand with MK1. Like it was just absurd. So I think WB needs to give NRS the appropriate time, which is what I was trying to get with this. Because, like I said, MK games just launch in a bad state. Very minimal stuff to do and a buggy mess, especially on PC. Like, will NRS, I know NRS doesn't make the PC ports, but will they ever hire a team that does get the PC port right? Because Jesus. But anyway, I digress. So, do we have to wait another year or 2 for MK2? No, but we're not getting MK2 next year. If you haven't seen my video, I can't remember the title, but I'll have it up on screen, where I talk about MK Fire and Ice and how that is their next game. But it's gonna be a game that ties us over until MK2. Ed Boon has already talked about how they have more than 2 pots on the stove, and he said that before MK1 was announced. Just as MK1 was approaching to be announced and revealed, Ed Boon did state that they had more than 2 pots on the stove, and one of them was MK1. So this leads me to believe, because a lot of people want a Shaolin Monk sequel, and Ed Boon even said if not, but when they're gonna do a new Shaolin Monks, it's gonna be Sub-Zero and Scorpion this time. So I do think that maybe at the Game Awards this year, they will come out, or Ed Boon will come out and announce MK Fire and Ice. So with all that being said, what do I want from MK2? The next mainline title. I'm thinking maybe they introduce something new, but not something that like changes characters exponentially like variations. I'm thinking maybe they introduce some kind of parry mechanic. I think that would change up Mortal Kombat a little bit, but keep it the same how it was like MK9, MKX days. Maybe just spice it up a little bit, because this is my issue with NRS, is they try to spice it up way too much. Like variations in MKX, like I said, was fine, and then they did it again in MK11 and it was just terrible. So I think full characters with traditional movesets, no variations, no cameos, nothing like that sort. I just want a full-on character with a good moveset, a good combo system, and again, not again, but they need to keep the traditional breaker. They changed it in MK11 and people did not like it, so they brought it back with MK1. I'm sure for other gameplay mechanics, NRS could come up with some other interesting stuff, just not stuff like cameos and variations. All OG characters must be in the next MK game, especially with the title being MK2. Like, they just rebooted the timeline, so they need to keep characters like Jax, Sonya, and Kano in, instead of taking them out and replacing them with, 3D characters that not even that many people wanted. Like, a few people were like, yeah, let's have Havoc, let's have, some 3D era characters, and they ended up bringing them in. Sure, people played them, but I feel like they were just not that interesting enough for people to play them. So again, they need to keep characters, maybe like 3D era characters out, and just keep characters from the OG era like Jax, Sonya, and Kano. So no more keeping characters out, especially from the OG titles. Just no more of that stuff. Let's keep them in and just expand on the roster. Like, what's wrong with, adding on to a huge roster that we already have? Like, yeah, it may take a while to develop a game like that, but do you know how long it takes to develop a Tekken game? Anyway, that's getting off topic. But yeah, just keep all OG characters in, and that's all I want. Keep the traditional MK gameplay, but maybe like just spice it up a tiny bit, little seasoning each game. So yeah, that's really all I want from MK2, and I do believe the next titles that they release will be on UE5 instead of running on the old upgraded, I think it was UE3 or 4, something like that. They just kept upgrading the engine, so look out for better graphics, and I don't know what kind of art style they're gonna go for. I know they went for more of a cartoony one for MK1, but it still looked good. They just didn't want to show all the guts and stuff that they showed in MK11, because if I'm gonna be real, MK11 fatalities were a little over the top, so they kind of toned it down in MK1. If they keep it the same tone in MK2, I won't be mad. Like, I'm not all for like seeing guts and stuff all the time. It's like, no. So yeah, just maybe toning it down on the fatalities or keeping it the same from MK1. And they need to bring back like all the brutalities, the animalities, and they need to bring back stage fatalities. I noticed that was one they kept out of MK1. But they need to try to just have as many finishers in the game as possible. Like, hell, even bring back OG brutalities from MK3, where you like combo your opponent 30 hits and then they explode on the last hit. That would be hilarious. But yeah, I think that's all I really want to talk about in this video. Look forward to MK2 in the next year or two, mainly 2 years, because I do think, like I said, we're gonna get MK Fire and Ice next year, so that'll tie us down till MK2. But this is DarkSense signing out. I hope you enjoyed me rambling. You're probably already done with the video, or you clicked off way before, but if you made it to the end, I greatly appreciate it. And this is DarkSense signing out, and I hope you take care. Peace.